YB stays on your neck.
I mean, the only focus for AJ is to win the fight against Ruiz. So I think if Ruiz was to win, then Heyman would probably try and make the fight with Wilder ASAP. If AJ was to win, who knows what he's going to do? He might retire. Who knows?
Yo, my dance, make sure you hit that like button, comment, subscribe, and obviously hit the bell for notifications. So we just heard there from Eddie Hearn. Now, what can I say on this one? I gotta be honest, when I heard Eddie Hearn say this for the first time on the whole IFL TV interview, he said it and then he was like, oh yeah, well, I bet you're gonna make a clickbait title out of this. So at that point I thought, you know what? I'm not going to do a video on that because essentially he's just having a bit of banter. But then I heard him say about, I've watched the 3 or 4 of these videos, obviously Man's banging at YouTube and that, but I watched 3 or 4 of the Eddie Hearn interviews, and in all the other ones, he was deadly serious. Like this one here, Boxing Social, he said, who knows what AJ might do? He might retire. Now, for me, there's an old saying that says, there's no smoke without fire. Now, in one of these interviews, Eddie Hearn says, yeah, I spoke to AJ a few days ago, and we know that Eddie Hearn is an insider. That's what he is. AJ insider, Team AJ, 100%. So he speaks of AJ. They're as close as they're going to get in terms of relationship, business and friend-wise. So I'm starting to question. It's not a smart thing to be. From Eddie Hearn's point of view, I know he sat here and said that, oh yeah, AJ is focused on winning the fight, but I don't know what benefit putting this out there is. It just raises a whole load of questions. Maybe it's a marketing move. We know how smart Hearn is, the baddest man in boxing business today, over the last 30 years. In fact, he's on the. Let me put it out there now. Eddie Hearn is on the path to all-time greatest promoter. No one can argue that now. He's 30 or 40 years old. Let's get it right. All them other people, Al Heyman 70, Bob Arum 90. They've got all their stuff priced in. Hearn's got another. He's not even 10. Probably only 10% into his career. And look what he's done already. So in that respect, this could be just a marketing plan where we're in that middle period now, where we've got 11 weeks. Maybe he's just kind of getting the promotional juices flowing, trying to get some press out there by saying something edgy. But for me, for him to keep repeating it, like I say, it could be a promotional tactic. But let's go a bit deeper on it. Have they had conversations? I just think that retirement is a strong thing to just put out there. He could retire. And he said it so frankly in this Boxing Social interview. AJ could retire. And I really hope they haven't had conversations about this, because this ain't good for the mindset. And I've been quite critical to an extent of AJ's mindset, because he said, where was it? I'm pretty sure he said he wants to be more ferocious, but I haven't. I'm sorry guys, I've got to be honest with you. I really wanted to see it. I really did. Bearing in mind how devastating the the Ruiz loss was for AJ, I really wanted to see some venom in him. Maybe I am wrong, and if I am wrong, if come December 7th we see the most venomous, we see that menacing AJ like we saw against Dillian White, where he was loving it. He was loving inflicting damage. He was loving taking shots. He marched forward, tongue sticking out. Dillian White hit him with his best left hook, took it and marched forward, no problem at all. If that's the AJ we get, then no problem, I was wrong. But from where I'm sitting out here, what keeps ringing in my head is, it's this whole money moistness. Money just seems to moisten people up good and proper. Once you get, I can't imagine it, I'm flat broke, but I can only imagine, like, most 99% of people's stresses are to do with money. Once you have that lifted off you, once you know you and your family, your wife, your kids, your mum, your dad are set, they haven't got to work, they haven't, you know what I mean, you're living that good life. Once you've got rid of all that financial stress, do you really want to get stuck in? And we do know, AJ said before, after the Klitschko fight, he said, Rob, I want you to train me so I don't have to have fights like that again. And I thought to myself, that fight weren't, bearing in mind the calibre of fighter you're fighting, look at historically speaking, when you have Ali versus Foreman, when you fight the top people in the division, that's how it's going to go. You're never going to, unless you're a complete god, and even then, how many in boxing have they been? Few. In fact, I can't even really name any. Unless you are a complete god, the first one in boxing history, who can just go in there and completely school your opponents, then you're going to have to get, these top fights, you're going to have to get stuck in. And it's to do with the mentality of it. Some fighters, they love it. Like, as an example, Chisora hasn't got the gifts that AJ's got. He hasn't got the genetic. He isn't the genetic specimen AJ's got. He hasn't got the. Yeah, he hasn't got that. But what he has been able to do, and even to be honest, I was about to rate Chisora's warrior spirit, but we've seen Chisora go in there and not be mentally on it. A few of his losses, I've got the guy. I think he fought in some rich place. I've got where it called. Oh, where did he fight? He fought in Monaco. That was it, Monaco. I'm pretty sure he fought in Monaco, and he fought some random dude and he lost. So even Chisora, who's meant to have the warrior mindset, he has to get up for it. But when he is up for it, to be fair to Chisora, when he's up for it, when it is a big fight, he does get stuck in. I remember my first time I saw Chisora was against David Hay, and fair play to him, they was slugging. It so happened that Chisora got caught, but it could have been any man there. It was a 50-50 fight in there. So in that respect, I think AJ needs to really employ a bit more of that side of him, where he goes into this fight, and even if he is, and I actually said this, even if AJ is going in, 1 foot in, 1 foot out, if this might be a last fight, it needs to be one of them ones. There's a saying, not a street saying, but a slang saying, one of them ones. That's what this fight needs to be for AJ. He needs to finish the fight, and after it say, that was one of them ones. That's what it needs to be for him. Go in there and commit to it before the fight. Have that mentality where you say, listen, you talk to yourself, you say, listen AJ, tonight, no matter what, it's going to be me or it's going to be him. Does that make sense? If I'm losing, either I'm going out on my back or he is. Does that make sense? Bottom line, that's the way I imagine it. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe come December 7th, AJ 1 goes in there and is already ferocious. Or number 2, he goes in there and he doesn't need to be ferocious. Maybe he's worked out how to be level-headed and moneyed up and money moist, and he's able to just pull it off. But I just don't. This don't sit well with me. If I was getting the stimulus over the press tour and whatnot that AJ was fired up, if I was getting them hints, then hearing Eddie Hearn come out and say, oh, he might retire, that wouldn't really bother me. But the fact we got AJ didn't really look bothered in the whole promotional tour, and now we're hearing Hearn mention retirement. Maybe it could also be the case. We have heard AJ call out Eddie Hearn before. I remember when Eddie Hearn said that AJ, what was it? He said that AJ wasn't bothered or something about losing the belts. And then AJ checked Eddie Hearn and said, no, I am bothered. I am really pissed off or something like that. It was something along the lines of that. So maybe it could be a miscommunication there where Eddie Hearn just completely run with the ball and just jumped on a random bandwagon that don't exist. Maybe it could be one of them ones where he just completely made something up and it's got nothing to do with AJ at all. Maybe that's a high probability as well. But from a purely outsider point of view, an outsider with inside deep proprietary exclusive sources, I have to sit here and speculate that I'd rather be hearing that AJ's planning, rather than sitting there talking about retirement. I'd much rather hear Hearn talking about, listen, I've sat down with AJ, never mind retirement. AJ's telling me he's knocking out Ruiz, and he's already got Wilder lined up to knock him out as well straight after. He wants Wilder next. I'd rather... Now, people sit there and say, oh, well, YB, he needs to concentrate. Of course, concentrate, but I'm talking about a clear path. As in, I'm going to be ruthless against Ruiz, and then that's going to turn Wilder off. I'm going to punish Ruiz so bad, it's going to push Wilder and Fury back into hiding. In fact, they haven't even come out of hiding. They haven't even mentioned... They were talking about fighting Ruiz. No one wants AJ still. But anyway, on this one, I am going to be intrigued to see what you might think, because for me, I'm in so many worlds, you know. Some parts of me say that, you know what, even if AJ isn't on it, he can still whoop Ruiz. Look at the Parker performance. Even that performance, he was pretty on it. But that Parker performance, that's all he'll need. He doesn't need to be AJ versus Dillian White. However, I think in terms of AJ's long-term boxing career, for him to be... I'm not being funny actually, thinking about it. The level of boxing at heavyweights is so weak these days, in as much as you've got Wilder, that there's a 50-50 fight, in as much as Wilder, if you get past his right hand, if you figure his right hand out, which I'm not sure Rob McCracken can actually do, but if AJ was to figure the right hand out, that's an easy fight. Fury, an easy fight. Dillian White rematch, that's a tougher fight, but still, there's not massive depth. So AJ even being money moist, I'm not being funny, AJ versus Parker, that kind of performance, he can probably dust off most of these guys. But still, in terms of AJ likes to talk about, or I've heard him talk about in the past, that he wants to be the best self. He wants to learn all the skills. Like I've seen him do a training clip with Tony Sims, and he's practicing the shoulder roll. He doesn't just want to box. He wants to like self-actualize and yeah, he wants to become his best self. Now, if that's the case, I believe his best self. You've got to get that mindset right. And this whole neutral business is not his best mindset. That's a fact, in my opinion. If he wants to be his best self, he needs to go into that ring clear of purpose, on his work, on his job. Do you do your job? I do my job. That's what he needs to be doing. Yeah, pure ferociousness. That Mike Tyson mindset, especially when you're coming off a loss like that. And I'm trying to think of the people. A great example. Who is it? Well, I use it all the time, but yeah, look at the Canelo fight versus Golovkin. I'm not talking about the strategy now. I'm talking about the mindset. Canelo went into that first fight a bit apprehensive. He'd heard all the hype about Triple G spot. He went in there and he was the one running around, and Golovkin kind of mugged him off about being, I thought you said Mexican style, very nice, that much, Mexican style, yeah, yuck smash. Golovkin mugged him off about running backwards. Golovkin mugged him off about not being Mexican and whatnot. In that next fight, Canelo didn't do much talking, but he got in the ring and you can tell he'd thought about the things Golovkin said, and he wanted Golovkin to pay for for the words he'd spoken. And this is what I mean when Andy Ruiz is talking about AJ's a robot, AJ can't do this, AJ can't do that. I want AJ to go in, and like I say, Canelo didn't really act that vicious before, so it may be come December 7th that AJ is in there looking to prove a point. And looking to really make a statement on Ruiz. Really punish Ruiz. And that's what I'm hoping to see. And this whole retirement thing, for me, it don't fit into the narrative that I'm looking for. But who knows? I'm just pure speculating. Let me know your thoughts.